105 North Avenue 52.
Prepare to be fucked by the objects of the law.
This isn't happening. Everyone look away, please. Nothing to see here.
You can't break those cuffs.
Make him away, Ty.
Welcome to Thought Cops, the only podcast where every week we police the mean streets of the internet because, hey, somebody's got to do it. And then we let you be the judge, the jury, and the executioner in the court of public opinion. Coming to you live from Neo Chicago, I'm Officer Kevin.
And I'm Officer Grant. I'm realizing as I'm looking down to the street below, and people that are driving through the intersection right now can look up and see us because I've looked up at my own room from the intersection, and I know that they can see us. And I'd love to know what's going through people's heads when they're stopped at that red light and they're looking up and they see you gesturing wildly with a gun in your hand.
A squirt gun.
A squirt gun, but from, 100 yards away. How can you tell?
They're kind of doing like a Good Morning America thing out there. Like, oh, they're doing Thought Cops out there. They're waving to us. I'm waving my gun around
they got
up here.
Signs down there. They're trying to get in the camera. There is no camera, folks.
Yeah, and there's no Al Roker either. Go away. How you doing, Grant?
I'm good.
Let's give a thank you to our guest from last week, Martin Felshman. And let's give a warm welcome to a returning champion to the show. That's right, folks. We got Leslie Lee back in the house. How are you, Leslie? How the hell are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me back. I'm very happy to be here. I was very excited when you sent me the DM asking me to come back on because I love my time here on Thought Cops. Had a wonderful time, and I'm just happy to be back here.
I appreciate you saying that.
With the only cops who aren't bastards.
That's right.
That is at this point, I can't think of any other cop-based media that isn't us that is good.
Wouldn't it have been bad if we were doing this and we're the literal definition of bastards? I'm a good guy. I just don't have, I don't have a father,
Fuck.
Oh, man. Leslie, you're staying busy during all this. You've been plugging away with your own podcast, Struggle Session, which you co-host with a former guest of the show as well, Jack Allison. If you can talk a little bit about that.
Yes, brief correction. I am the host. He is the co-host, but yes,
my
Struggle
mistake.
Session. Yeah, well, I make sure to correct people every single time. The fans like to hear.
Yeah.
The fans like to hear.
You don't want to have misinformation out there.
Yeah, but we have a podcast where we just talk about movies, music, pop culture from a left political perspective, where the politics and the behind the scenes creative stuff, which Jack has been involved with in Hollywood, and where that meets, philosophy and critique and theory and all this other stuff. We kind of mix it all in, just try to have a good time talking about superhero movies and horror movies and comic books and all that good stuff.
I feel like that's all of those things that you said. I relate to it heavily because I feel like anytime you sort of talk about a lot of those things from a political slant, that people are always sort of do you have to put politics in everything? And everyone's already putting politics in everything.
They'll do it for you.
Yeah, they'll do it for you. And the amalgamation of making a case for, a different perspective of thought through talking about a lot of these things. I mean, a lot of times I feel like we try and do that on this show, maybe not to the fullest extent that we do, but it is one of those things where it's we do have to be sort of engaged with some of these topics, and they do, sort of go to a larger, sort of broader worldview of what everybody thinks about. As stupid as it is to fucking debate Mr. Potato Head and shit like that, it is you got to do it because otherwise who's going to be doing it? Just only Ben Shapiro?
Yeah.
I don't want that.
Exactly. And that's kind of why we started the show, because we want to be able to talk about, because we live in, a homophobic, transphobic, sexist, racist society, and all the cultural products we love are products of that same culture, that same society, and they're all going to have these elements to it. And the thing during the Obama era was going back and saying, oh, that such and such old media has this problematic joke, it's bad, we don't like it anymore. And we try to take a different stance. We say, no, we can acknowledge the issues with this without being dishonest about it and still enjoy this stuff. You just have to have your brain on when you're watching stuff, and that's all we're really trying to do. And there's not.
So that's a lot, man. Turn my brain on. I don't want to do that. That's typically like, I really respect that, because I do feel that, there's no room for nuance with any of these discussions anymore. And like you said, people, you said that happened in the Obama era, but I still see like a lot of that on Twitter. And I'm glad that more people are just being like, hey, honest if something is bad, but there's like certain aspects that may not have held up in a certain regard, but they come from a different time, whatever. There's a whole lot to
you don't
parse.
Discount the entirety of it, but it is just part of it. It's just like talking about anything. I don't know. That's just that's conversation for you folks. That's how it happens. You talk about things and discourse
Conversation 101 here on Thought Cops. I know a lot of people must listen to the show to figure out how to talk. Maybe, I don't know. Let us know. Leave us a voicemail. Try it out. Give us a practice run. Anyway, you've also, like you said, you mentioned your co-host Jack Allison, who has he's left Twitter since we last talked to him. Do you feel that has affected your show in any like subtle ways or not so subtle ways?
The real reason I'm on Twitter is just to post a link to my show, right? That's more or less it. And I guess with Jack less engaged, that does mean less eyes on those links. But it's his mental health is his choice, and I still can. His wife, Kate Raft, is still on Twitter, and she uses the account and posts links and stuff. So that's really it. Yeah. That's really it. I guess he's not going to gain any new followers or go viral or make a big thing again, most likely. But that's just how it is. Like, if I really cared enough, I could, do more with the struggle session fucking Twitter account. But then that's just like more fucking work I'm doing for free on the Twitter website, and that's the reason why Jack quit. He didn't want to do free work for them anymore. So I applaud him for his decision. Have no complaints.
True.
I've been seeing you pop up on a number of different things that I sort of like regularly, maybe not like watch regularly, because I feel like I don't watch anything regularly. I have like a schizophrenic mindset that just grabs onto like the next thing and just like, maybe schizophrenic isn't the right word. Maybe it's ADHD. I feel like there's a lot of things sort of knocking around, but I saw that you were on you were doing like one of Katie Halper's shows, I think was pretty cool too, which almost feels like it's sort of a tie-in. What was it, Cancel Court?
Oh, yeah, we did. She posted a clip. So I co-host Katie's show every Thursday night, actually, and she keeps asking me, and I guess it's a thing now because Katie's so good at branding stuff. So she asks me every week, like, who's been canceled this week? Because it started, we were talking about Gina Carano, and then it moved to, I forget what we did last week. But yeah, we just, each week we were kind of talking about different people who got canceled. Maybe Pepe Le Pew, maybe. I remember the last one is one, like, just regular person. Oh, it was the Teen Vogue editor that got hired and then got fired for old tweets.
Oh, yeah.
Or withdrew their application for old tweets. So we judge whether the person actually was canceled or not, whether the cancellation was fair.
Interesting.
It's a good idea for a show. Yeah, because I used to watch for a time I was watching her and Matt Taibbi's show, and I remember like seeing your face pop up, and I was like, oh shit, no way, I didn't know that you guys were like doing stuff together and stuff.
Yeah, Katie has a real good thing going on YouTube. She gets like up to like 10,000 people a night sometimes for hours and hours on end. She's just been plugging away at it for the past several months.
Hell yeah, that's awesome. I love to see people experiencing growth during the time of COVID. You know, it's not easy, but if you can make it happen, you know, by all means, props to you. Speaking of props to ourselves, though, Grant, we got a little bit of show news.
You're holding a prop right now. It's a squirt gun.
Again, a fake gun for those at home. I'm not waving around an actual
I did want
live...
to mention that there are podcasters that do podcasts with actual guns, braces. So if you want that, you know, check out True Anon.
I was going to say, yeah, that's got to be, yeah. I mean, just the thrill. I wonder how that has to affect your performance, you know?
Well, I'm much like Steven Crowder. I think every show he does now, he's wearing like the fucking conceal carry.
Oh yeah, I always
he wears that.
He's always
like
dressed
trying
like
to look like
Drake from Uncharted.
Yeah, Nathan Drake, exactly. He's trying to look like the Uncharted guy. He's very strange. Like that's a very 2007 move to try to look like Nathan Drake. Like it being generous is like 2007. Like to try looking. I don't know what's going on with him.
Well,
I don't think anybody.
I'm dressed the exact same as he is right now. I got my hair slicked back and whatever. I don't care.
Can confirm, folks. But we got some show news of our own. We finally released another episode of our bonus show, Fire Bros, in which we decide to burn or save different pieces of media. This month we did the Netflix documentary The Last Dance about the Chicago Bulls. We did the video game Bug Fables. We did the Netflix movie Death to 2020. And we did the documentary Tickled. So check that out. A lot of variety of topics in that one. A lot of fun to record. Just $2 a month. You get that episode and every single other episode. We're going to be doing those more regularly. I want to start tossing on some extra stuff of my own from my own personal backlog of content. Give you guys some goodies for waiting so long, and we'll get back on this regularly. So we appreciate the support and the patience, and we do love you. If you want to go ahead and follow us on Twitch, we're over at twitch.tv/ThoughtCops every Wednesday night and Sunday night from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. And it's like I always say, Grant, if you don't live in that time zone, do the math.
I do live in the time zone. I don't know why you tell me so frequently, but I'm here listening.
I know you and I do. Yes, we are in the same time zone. I just wanted to, for those of you, I just
for
wanted
the
to,
listeners.
Yes.
No, I get it.
And to you, just in case you forgot.
Okay.
But yeah, we did a tier ranking stream on Sunday. Me and Nico with the C ranked every single Seinfeld character, which I was very glad to see that template on the tier ranking website. That was a lot of fun.
You're continuing on top.
Oh, I mean, we ended up, it was a very top heavy list. There's a lot of S-class and A-class characters.
It reminds me of when we ranked all the Mario games and like you just put all of them in S.
Well, I guess I should ask who was at the bottom.
Let's see here. I
don't think you F tiered anybody.
F tier was like for characters I didn't immediately recognize, and they were like smaller ones. I'm trying to see here, like some of the ones at the bottom was like one of Elaine's bosses, not Mr. Pitt, but one of the other, I forget his name. He worked at like Pendant Publishing.
Yeah.
He's down at the bottom. I don't give it rat's ass. There was actually a lot of controversy because I ranked Jay Peterman as a B rank, and people were freaking the fuck out.
I can see that. Yeah.
And I said I find him slightly overrated, and they were like, "Who are you rating these characters with outside of this stream?"
Right.
I don't know. His shtick is just, it does
it
wear.
Can sort of overstay its welcome, I feel like.
He is one of the more over the top characters consistently on the show.
Yeah.
Similar to Kramer's attorney.
Yeah, where do I have him at?
Yeah, I feel like certain characters on that show, it's like you can sort of you have certain characters that are more sort of like a Monet, like an impressionist, and then you have like he's like a Jack Pollock character. He just throw the fucking paint bucket at the wall, like just Elaine, I'm going on another event. Like, we know the shtick.
Classic Peterman. Anyway, if that strikes your fancy, go ahead and give us a follow over at twitch.tv/ThoughtCops. What'll we rank next? Who knows? Give us some suggestions. That reminds me, actually, we're going to start linking the Discord in the show description, because for some reason we haven't been doing that. So if you're listening on any podcast app or whatever streaming service, basically probably the only way you are listening to this, scroll down and head on over to our Discord if you're not in there. It's a lot of fun. Maybe you'll end up in the Discord news if you're lucky.
Maybe. It's exciting.
Anyway, moving along to a very famous, very favorite segment of the show, 2 Minutes of Hate, where we like to blanket punish all that annoying, random crap that we see on the internet every single day, because we are addicted. It's a real thing. And it's like you said, Leslie, it's not always the best for our mental health. But for those of us who do have to, take the bullet and make that content, we do it gracefully. And here we are. So my 2 minutes of hate this week, this is actually going to be a lead-in to the big story of the episode. My 2 minutes of hate this week is the phrase Twitter's main character of the day. Leslie, you're familiar with this, right? You must have seen this terminology, and then even some of the characters who have sort of fallen into that category.
We should tier rank the Twitter main characters of the day.
Just imagining
it's the worst idea I've ever had.
Imagining spending my evening in my apartment doing that, like just wondering where the years went. So I don't know. It's just by and large, I actually hate this stuff. Like, I know we talk about it for the show, but God, it's like some of the stuff I can't believe catches on the way it is. And I know I'm doing a lot of foreshadowing here, but like what we're going to talk about later, I couldn't believe how much I saw this. You can't have, like, if you were on Twitter at all the past week, you could not avoid this. Even if you didn't know the whole story, you had to have known some passing glance at this Twitter's main character of the day, at least one of the main characters of the day from this past week. So,
well, and you always learn it to do a callback to a previous episode. There is like an iceberg theory to it, where you see the main story, and you're like, it couldn't okay, this is it, and then you see like the story underneath the story, and you're like, whoa, this is pretty deep, and then you see like the tertiary and quadriary stories, and you're just like, how much more information can I possibly take in from this one individual? And it's just nonstop.
And by the way,
well goes all the way down.
All that information, highly useful.
Yeah. It contextualizes a lot of stuff.
So Twitter's main character of the day, I would punish these folks. I'll just give some examples here as a lead-in before we get to the big one. If you remember some of these classics, such as Bagel Boss, Glue Girl, Bean Dad. I should read these as the Smash Brothers announcer voice.
Go for
it. Bagel Boss, Glue Girl, Bean Dad, Curvy Wife Guy. If you're familiar with these characters, go ahead and you're playing a Smash Brothers interpretation of Twitter, which is obviously got to be.
It's basically regular Twitter.
Yeah, so just hit the random button, start a match. You spawn on the map as Bagel Boss or whoever. Just run off the side. Just run off the side. Kill yourself in Smash Bros. Anyway, Leslie, did you have a 2 minutes of hate for us? Anything you want to get off your chest?
Yeah, and might actually be the main character of today, and that is the sentient murder bot over at Amazon has learned how to post now, and is now like getting into posting wars with like Elizabeth Warren and representatives, trying to basically gaslight people into thinking that the Amazon workers don't have to pee in bottles because they're under surveillance by the same AI that's making these posts. This is, Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream come to life, and now it's here and it has a blue check mark.
Jesus. What a God. And during the 2020s with a bang, right? Jesus Christ. Hey, I just want to say, all hail our robotic overlords. You've read the
what do you call it? Was it Cerberus manifesto or whatever they call it, where the gamble is that if we will eventually be taken over by AI, you should get it on record that you love robots, just in case. It's the same is a theological term too, where you should believe in whichever God you think would punish you the most for not believing in them.
It reminds me of the scene with The Good, Bad, and the Ugly, where the guy with no name and his his sidekick / nemesis in the movie, when he's like, oh, what color are their coats out there in the battle? And he's like, gray. And he's like, oh, we love the Confederacy. Great movie. If you haven't seen that movie, come on.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
Yeah.
All right.
There's people that haven't seen it, and come on. But yeah, I feel like in terms of the dynamic between the main character and like this Amazon News, that's the account, right? The Amazon News.
Yes.
Amazon News feels like the main boss of Twitter. I feel insane saying that out loud, but like,
you're right though.
I've been seeing so many of those tweets and it's like making my blood boil. Like, yeah, there was I can't remember which representative tweeted something, and their response was like, you don't actually believe the peeing in bottles story, do you? And it's like, yes, you put out a memo about it. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah, like Rocco's Basket, someone in the chat asks, is the philosophical theory about worshiping the AI just in case. Just to see, because the thing is, like, there's nothing we can do to actually cancel this main character, right? It's the biggest company in the world's Twitter account. Anything that they've posted has already been approved by the only people that ever needs to hire whoever this person is. Like, there's no recourse, on Twitter or anything else. You can yell at this AI as much as you want. They're just going to keep posting. Like, they have Amazon has that, ultimate level of control where like a lot of other companies, their PR people, they make a hot tweet, they can get fired. I don't think that's ever going to happen to the Amazon PR company. I think they're being very, strident with their language, deliberately. I think they want to be provocative and combative. Deliberately, they want, this attention to stir this controversy and to get their message out there aggressively.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like on this show we talk so much about like the concept of, you do this sort of happy feel good marketing of the 90s, like everybody's drinking Coca-Cola on the rooftop and they're all singing a song about how we're all together. That doesn't work anymore. You know how you make the news and you trend and you go through all this shit to like bring attention to your brand is you piss a lot of fucking people off. And like, there's a point where it's just like, it's fucking working. Like you said, there's no recourse. Like, what do we do? It's fucking Lavos from Chrono Trigger.
That's exactly what I was thinking earlier too.
Just like a timeless, faceless, nameless, just existence that like, what do you do? It's the most powerful creature of all time.
I got a punishment,
we have to
Leslie.
defeat it before it gets too big.
Unless you had your own punishment, Leslie, I do have one I can add.
Oh, please.
I was going to say, tying it back into the theme of video games, if you said it's the final boss, right?
Yeah, it's Lavos, man.
Right, or I'm thinking even Master Hand. So we're talking about Twitter's main character of the day, Smash Brothers. You do a classic mode run on very hard. You play as Bagel Boss, 3 stock, get to the end, defeat the Amazon News bot, and, unlock some goodies, and I guess that's about it.
I think someone needs to hack that account. However you do that, I have no idea how.
And I think it will be Bagel Boss. I do believe he's.
And someone needs to post some incriminating shit and get it banned off Twitter. I mean, it's insane to think that like what they're doing with this shit. It's absolutely.
And you see, that's the thing
my
too.
Blood boil.
A bot can't send a dick pic to an intern.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's undefeatable.
Truly. My 2 minutes of hate. This comes at a good time too. Talking about cancel court and whatnot, but this has been on the list for me for a while, and I feel like it took some of the things we've talked about the past couple weeks in order to sort of bring it out of me to fully sort of comprehend what it is I'm talking about. But people's use of the phrase cancel culture as just a catch-all for everything that they don't like. For context, my dad is like 75 years old. He uses the word communism for everything he doesn't like. Like the president is a communist, and the CEO of some company is a communist, and
the new sandwich at Arby's, communist.
I swear to God, everything's a communist. Everything's commie this, commie that, blah, blah, blah. I like cancel culture to me. Like, I feel like this is the new sort of like red wave of, or red scare, or whatever you want to call it, of the fucking everything is, oh, they canceled Dr. Seuss. Like, what? They made a conscious decision not to print those books. They canceled Gina Carano. They didn't cancel her. Disney fight, like, no, it's just getting to the point where it's like, what are we talking about anymore? Like, what words? Just use the words instead of like dumbing down your language and just saying blank equals cancel. You know, a boycott is cancel. They form a union. It's a cancel. It's just like, just say, oh, Disney fired this actress, and I think that's bad. You could just say that. You could say why you think that. But I feel like there's this weird sort of distillation into like just these terms that people throw around so flagrantly that there's like zero substance to anything. And it's just diluting people's ability to even think about things to such like a ridiculous degree that to me, it just feels like we're not talking about anything at all.
You know, Grant, back in my day, getting canceled meant getting your show pulled from Fox after 3 seasons and getting revived on Adult Swim to a cult audience.
Right. And like I think the etymology is like, oh, well, the Roseanne's show, you know, we canceled Roseanne. I sort of understand that within that context, but now people just use it for it's a catch-all for anything I don't like equals cancel. Anything that's bad equals cancel culture. You bring up counterexamples of, oh, you know, there was the war on Christmas, and you're saying all this stuff about boycott Starbucks or whatever. Is that a cancel?
I guess
no,
they canceled
doesn't matter.
Now, yeah.
I mean, Justice Leslie, is there like is there like how to what degree do you feel like I'm sort of on point with this? You know, you being a higher up in the courts and everything, like.
Oh no, we've already, there is precedent on this on our struggle session episode on cancel culture from maybe a couple of years ago now. We said the big problem is that absolutely every single person has a different definition of what cancel means.
Right.
You can be canceled by some people and not by others, you know, at the same time, right? Like you can just be canceled in certain small ways to certain demographics. So it's a very complicated thing, and it means a bunch of different things, and no one really has any agreement on it. And most of the arguing is really people who don't even disagree about like the actual issue. Like, do most people think you should get fired for telling a bad joke 10 years ago? No, most people don't really feel that way. But if you didn't say, well, maybe this person was supposed to be, you know, a bigwig supervisor, and guess what? They actually have no experience at this job, and they probably shouldn't be hired anyway. Then you might say, all right, well, fuck them anyway. Like, who cares about like? Well, then this is a fine, and that's what happened with the teen vote thing, right? Vote gather. Like, they weren't trying to, like, did they, like, if that was somebody that they respected, internal hire that the workers respected and wanted to see on the top of a magazine, they probably would have found a way to live with the tweets that they made when they were a teenager. But the problem was that this was a person who had no experience. This was someone brought in by corporate to just dropped in who's never been an editor before. And of course, they're going to dig into her past and mention other things. But what they've been saying is like, it's not just the tweets that were the issue. That was just one thing beginning of all the other things that happen. But that story doesn't get told. Instead, it just gets told as this woke black woman got canceled for old tweets that she made when she was a teenager, when that's not really like truly what happened. But that, like, good luck convincing anyone of that.
Right. And yeah, I feel like that's really sort of the crux of all of it. Is it's just like it just takes everything you just said, and it just boils down to just these two words, and you say those two words, and it's just like it blows up any level, like, because people hate cancel culture. They maybe not everybody, but a lot of people think it's complete bullshit. It's one of those things where, yeah, I mean, there's so many different facets, so many different things people use to describe, and I feel like if they would just take the time to describe those things, that the conclusions would be way different. But since you can just say Dr. Seuss got canceled, people get furious. You know,
I mean, it's been that way forever. Like, just like buzzwords and everything.
Yeah,
it's not going anywhere. That's just the big one now.
Yeah, and I do feel like it's a very useful tool. It's, you know, when you're playing Chrono Trigger and you update your weapon, it's an incredibly useful tool to have, to just be able to do that and just say, you know, I'm Ben Shapiro. This is the Ben Shapiro Show. This cancel culture shit is ludicrous, and people are like, you're right. Yeah, no, it's bad. I don't think that they should get fired. And it's, again, like, using some of these platforms and stuff to advocate for like common sense reactions to some of the shit that's going on in the news. It's just like, you know, how do you compete with just everybody thinks that that's already bad, but this guy's scoring points because he's using the buzzword that everybody hates, that buzzword.
Yeah,
they're doing the fear mongering about it. Like, cancel culture is coming for you next if you don't do something about it.
And that, yeah, you mentioned, Grant, that it's a lot like the Red Scare. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
For a while they were using struggle session as the scary word. That this is like a struggle session. Not great for our SEO, sadly enough. But
yeah, we get that.
I'm glad they've moved on to cancel culture.
Oh, that's true. I do feel like the reuse and reappropriation of like thought cops in that sense is sort of like us trying to sort of take some of those concepts back a little bit, you know, because everything was always for such a long time like, oh, the outrage culture, the outrage mob. Who's gonna police your thoughts now? You know, the thought police are coming for you. You're convicted of wrongthink, and it's just like,
and we were just like, sure, we'll do it.
Yeah, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, fuck it. Who cares? Yeah, who's gonna police the thoughts of the internet? Us. Welcome to Thought Cops. My punishment is we cancel culture. We just get rid of it. It's done.
Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know it was so simple.
A real Ouroboros of problems. A real Lavos of problems.
Anyway, moving on. If you haven't listened to Thought Cops before, every week we investigate the internet's outrage-inducing news stories, and then we sentence each perpetrator to a cruel and often quite unusual punishment. So let's talk about that big whopper of a story this week that everybody just can't get enough of. I'm talking about, and like this is going to age poorly in however many weeks or days. We're talking about the cinnamon toast shrimp tail guy. The cinnamon toast shrimp tail guy,
our new main character.
And no, I'm not having a stroke. That's what it is. Yes, the guy's name is Jensen Karp. The New York Post headline here is: "Internet turns on Jensen Karp, manipulative shrimp tail cereal man." And I may be wondering, like, why is he getting canceled? Is that gone too far? No, it's not. So let's just break down the whole series of events. So this guy, Jensen Karp, he posts a picture where he's like, hey, I opened my box of Cinnamon Toast Crunch, and it turns out there was some shrimp tails in the box. And everybody's like, ew, gross. Because, you know, you don't want to see that when you're sitting down with a big bowl of milk and cereal. A shrimp tail, for crying out loud?
Right.
No, thank you. So, of course, nobody really questions this. They take it at face value and they say, that's it. I am boycotting Cinnamon Toast Crunch. Or what is it?
They canceled Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I can't believe it.
Is it post cereal?
And it lost General Mills, which owns Cinnamon Toast Crunch lost millions, hundreds of millions of dollars, perhaps, because of this.
Isn't it great how the economy just like, oh, someone makes a fake tweet and like they just they lose millions over just like an obvious like fake image? Like, isn't that great that that's the bedrock of American
That's how
economics?
easy it is. Yeah.
So
very
the
sensible.
one thing about the image though is it does look somewhat convincing. You have to admit
It looks like he coated it in like the cinnamon sugar. Yeah.
The shrimp tails look like they've been compressed and packaged, and they're covered in the same seasoning or shrimp or whatever, not seasoning, the same cinnamon.
Yeah.
That's on the toast crunch, as it were. And like he was blowing up General Mills's Twitter, basically, be like, yeah, this is a big oof, guys. Real gross, not gonna lie. So it's been this whole thing where people found out that apparently this guy's like been trying to go viral for a long time.
Yeah.
And also like he is a I don't know, he has a blue check mark on Twitter, and I'm not 100% sure why. I'm honestly like kind of learning about this on the fly myself, but he is married to Boy Meets World star Danielle Fishel, who was Topanga on Boy Meets World. So this guy's not just some random, dude.
No, he's not a random guy. He's like a Hollywood guy. He's a Hollywood guy. He's like a producer of stuff, and he's been trying to go viral for a while. He's always trying to get stuff produced, and people started being pretty skeptical of it because a lot of people have worked with Jensen Karp, and almost to a person, everyone thinks he's at least a liar, at least a pathological liar, and then like some much worse stuff, much darker stuff came out as well.
So apparently, and before we get to that though, I'm actually finding out right now that he used to be a child rapper named Hot Carl. What? So then anyway, he's on Twitter, he's posting his way through the whole thing, and then General Mills is like, oh, if you can wait a few hours, we'll send a representative to your house to assess the situation. He's like, oh, I don't have 3 hours, because it's when you're on the world stage and everybody's holding you up, and even though their arms are shaking and you're going to fall any second, they're all, he's saying, yeah, I don't have 3 hours to sit around and wait for you to come to my house and inspect my shrimp tails. So he's
giving him the runaround.
Yeah, he's
very obviously.
Yeah, he's using his platform for evil and ne'er doing well. So yeah, like I said, the whole thing, more and more details about this guy are coming out, and then it turns out he's a milkshake duck, which of course he got, and it's like this could not have gone any other way, right? He got Me Too'd by dozens of women, I believe.
Yeah, like immediately.
That he was abusive in all these relationships and everything. All these, horrible stories were coming out about this guy. And it's just, this is the quintessential, I hate to use the term again, but Twitter's main character of the day.
Yeah.
If you're gonna look at the logic here and follow those rules, like he fits every single fucking archetype of like how these stories go, and I think that's why it popped off so much. And it's almost like it's either like divine intervention or it was just extremely cold and calculated. Every movement, every plan for years has been all leading to this this guy, using, like you said, Grant, people just say and do whatever they want. Bad news, good news. It's all.
Yeah.
We're talking about him,
Yeah.
Granted, that's what we do every week, but still other people are too who don't do a podcast about this stuff.
Right. They could be monetizing that. Sorry, Leslie. You were going to say something.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the layers started, the first peel back layer were just the puns that people were making, right? Because I saw the shrimp making the rounds, but I didn't notice who it was. I would have done a double take because it was this guy named Jensen Karp. Who I heard and knew that most of the people I know hate him. but like people just started making jokes about, oh, his last name is Carp, and oh, he's married to Topanga. Oh, isn't this interesting? So it wasn't it was like a reverse milkshake duck, and then it fell off a cliff. Like people learned stuff that was amusing and interesting about this guy, and then like he got to bask in that limelight for a bit, where people were taking his side. He did get what he wanted out of it before it was taken away, which I think is even more poetic. When like he really did get that moment in the spotlight, and he was like, wow, the coast is clear. None of the many people in my professional and personal life who hate my guts for every valid reason have decided that today is the day that they're going to speak out and say something. Like, wow, I've done it. I've finally gone viral. And then it all started to crumble.
I'm seeing like there's even statements from people who he used to work with on like projects who say that he's stolen intellectual property.
Yes, he's a big IP thief, and just to put that in context, that's like, say you're a low-level like improv comedian, right? You're doing all these free shows for UCB and shit. You're trying to get off. You're trying to get popping. You're trying to do something. You come up with some ideas, and while you're coming up with these ideas, there's always these other people who have a foot in the door in Hollywood that are around, and he is one of the people who will take those ideas from those low-level comedians, steal them, and then pitch them to actual executives, actually sell them, actually make the money. And he's done this more than once.
Hey, Jensen Karp, if you're listening, the show's ours, man. Don't take it.
Yeah, man. Come on.
Yeah, the thing I wanted to make clear is like he's not stealing from like other similar level Hollywood people. We're not talking about all Topangas here, right? He's not stealing show ideas from Urkel. He's stealing show ideas from people you've never heard of and never will hear of, because when they had their shot, Jensen Karp took it.
I think I remember a while ago, I think Jack Allison actually sort of like uncovered this and got some heat for it. I think this is like the origin of the Michael Shea debacle, was that like some of this stuff is written in, and to what degree he's involved with this, I'm not 100% sure. I don't really know who Jensen Karp is. I'm just more or less learning about him through this show. But the thing with like the SNL like hiring stuff, like when you apply to like audition for SNL, and they have like a clause in their contract that's like, anything you put out now, we could technically have the intellectual property rights to, even if we don't hire you for the show. Like, just now, anything that you tweet or any videos you put out, we could just legally take that.
Isn't that what Jack was putting out? He kind of exposed this whole thing. Like,
and that's where like the Michael Shea started attacking him and stuff like that, and there was that back and forth. But like, I feel like that's just a very prevalent thing now, is just like anybody that is trying to do anything, it's like either you sign your rights away or you don't, and you get fucked over anyway.
Yes.
Like you just have, nobody has any sway unless you're backed by some of these giant institutions that control everything and frankly fucking suck,
Yes. Yeah, exactly. And they, support people like Jensen Karp, but the people were some of the people that he screwed over the years were able to speak up and kind of take this moment away from him, thankfully.
I mean, and it's one of those things where it's probably a long time coming too, because like if he's made a habit of this and people know that he's known for like Kevin, you were saying, like it's a calculated move. He's trying to do it. Everything he's ever done in his entire life has led him up to this point.
That's how we got a job in Hollywood.
Yeah, it's how he got a job. But, I'm looking at this wheel of punishments over here, and I'm seeing this monkey's paw. And this is a classic monkey's paw scenario. Like you were saying, Leslie, like he got what he wanted, but he didn't really get it how he wanted it, apparently. His wish came true, but he should be maybe a little more careful what he wished for.
I want to read here the original tweet because I'm like just looking at it now. So he says, at CTC Squares, which I guess is the Twitter account for Cinema Grunge. He goes, at CTC Squares. Why are there shrimp tails in my cereal? And in parentheses, this is not a bit. Oh, it's not? Okay.
Stop laughing.
Oh, man.
It's not funny.
This is ridiculous. This is just, wow.
And the thing is, it's so he's still trying to post through it, right? But the thing is, like, it's not just a funny thing when you're messing with like a publicly traded company with millions, billions on the line that you're costing them, and it's like they could sue him for everything he's worth, if he's not really willing to go along with their investigation, which he is refusing to do. And they're like saying, we're going to get, like, they're taking it very seriously, and they're sending him, he's posting the emails that they're sending him about how how they're saying, we're giving you this time to give us the box. We need to investigate this product tampering. We need the opportunity to investigate the packaging. They're using that sort of corporate language, and he's just kind of refusing. And I don't know. It does not look like it's going to end well for him. I think he just wants it to kind of go away, but I don't know if that'll happen.
I do know he did mention also, like, by the way, there was like rat poop in there too, which that was like secondary.
No, there's not.
That was, he's like,
there's not.
So yeah, there's poop in there, but more importantly, shrimp tails.
Because anytime companies invoke that level of direct corporate speak to like reach out to, they're doing that in order to like abscond from any level of like legal liability. Like if I was him, like you were saying, Leslie, I would be pretty worried that like if they're reaching out to you, they're making these attempts and stuff like that, they're going to turn that around, bring that all to court and tell a judge like, hey, we did our due diligence. We reached out to him. We said all this stuff. We sent all these forms.
Yes.
We did this. We did this. We did everything by the book. We made sure proper protocol was in order, and he refused. So we are,
there's no defense in court. Like you can't just say, "Well, I told them I didn't want to."
Okay, I may have just found one of the worst tweets of all time, posted by him just a few days ago. He said, "I have learned that my wife and I were not on your 2021 bingo cards."
Who's his wife? Oh, Topanga.
Yeah.
My bad.
We were not on your bingo cards.
Shut the fuck up.
This guy like reeks of like pure evil energy. Just like
he's like every 2 minute of hate we've ever done balled into one just amorphous blob.
It's like I look at the picture of him and it's just like I imagine it's like what like nuns feel like when they look at a picture of like a big red devil. Like, whoa.
Mon Dios.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I said when I looked at it.
Io Blaze Runner in the chat says he said he was going to get it DNA tested or something. I don't think he wants to back out of this, but I mean, like, do you think he's actually going to get it DNA tested, or do you think he's just saying that just to? I mean, like, what's gonna happen? What's gonna come as a result of this DNA test for a shrimp tail?
Yeah,
I'm just imagining like the guy, like he's like with like armed bodyguards who are escorting him into like Quest Labs.
Yeah, and the weird thing is, like, if this is the case, like, he's not like some anti-corporate crusader, he's not like part of like No Label or whatever. He's not like in Ad Busters, like he like this guy. He like, why is he refusing to work with them? Why wouldn't he give them the box? It doesn't make any sense for this guy. Who this person is to be able to refuse to be like, no, I'm not giving you the box. I'm not letting you see in the box. I'm going to get DNA tested independently. That makes no sense. That makes no sense for him to do that.
So
he linked to a whole ass Inside Edition article here about this alleged DNA test. I don't know. What are two guys in lab coats going to come out and at the same time turn two different keys at the same time? Is that what we're planning on? Is that what's going to happen? I don't know.
And again, think of all the time you would have saved not knowing about this.
Yeah, well, thanks to our new patrons for the week.
Yeah.
And it's like you didn't need to know about this. The Twitter main character is a function of Twitter now. I've been saying for years that they invent these people. Now, Jensen Karp is someone who's been around for a while, but I think most of these main characters, just the bizarre weirdos with these weird opinions that draw attention to themselves. It's just like they just come from nowhere. They all have exactly 4,300 followers. They all are fucking associate professors at some junior college somewhere. They all crumble into a puddle of tears the second someone sends them a negative message, but they all end up becoming the Twitter main character because they make some spirited defense of eugenics on a random Thursday for some reason, and they don't understand why anyone at all would even push back on them. It happens every time. It makes no sense. Twitter has to be inventing these people because real people like this don't exist. Real people who are on Twitter know how to use Twitter well enough not to become the main character.
I also feel like there's just so much insanity nowadays that I do feel to a certain level just Joker-fied by so much of it. Fuck it. Just whatever. Everybody's insane. Let me just put me in the prison with everybody else. We'll all be insane together. That's how I feel regarding any of this. Just no, everything's fucked. Let's just enjoy the fuckery. Why not? It's making everybody unhappy. Why not just be happy with how unhappy we all are?
He says here, I'm happy
view.
Yeah.
He says, I'm happy to report a carcinologist, a crustacean researcher that works at NHMLA is going to morphologically identify the shrimp using microscopy, and he will work with a team of researchers to use DNA to try and identify the putative shrimp down to the species. This is happening in all caps. How old is this guy? 41, 42?
I'm picturing them hiring George Costanza, who's pretending to be a marine biologist.
Yeah.
This is so much more work than giving them the box. What is his purpose now? That just does. If the only sensible, reasonable take to have is, and based on his behavioral characteristics, and I do want to mention that I am a mind hunter officially. I've listened to the audiobooks of 3 John Douglas books who invented mind hunting. So I can get into the mind of these sickos, and I can say that he is spiraling right now. The lies just get bigger the closer they get to being caught. They don't think rationally about this stuff. They don't think, obviously everyone knows I'm lying. Obviously I can't double down. They say no. Obviously they think obviously I can get out of this. Obviously if I keep telling lies, I will somehow, some way come out on the other side of this. So don't expect his behavior to get more rational. Just expect his lies to get bigger and bolder.
He's like Walter White, but instead of cooking meth, it's hiding shrimp tails in cereal boxes.
And I hate to invoke. Here we go. We're going to go full lib on this one. I hate to invoke the orange one's name. But Donald Trump got away with pathologically lying for 4 years and was never taken to task on it. He just he'd be like, oh, I didn't make fun of that one handicap reporter. And people are like, here's a video of you doing it. And he'd be like, I didn't do that. And you couldn't do anything about it. And I feel there's so many people that are of that same sort of nature of they're just pathological liars, and they see that example and they're just why the fuck should I have to fess up to literally anything? What's the utility in apologizing or saying that I'm wrong or sort of backing off, backing down? This guy got to be the president doing what I'm doing. I should just keep doing it. I saw an ad for a fucking political candidate that in Nevada, I don't even fucking know the guy's name. He ran for Congress in Nevada and he lost badly, and his criminal record was brought up, and it's him and his family, and he's talking very monotonally. And then he runs for Congress in Texas and he's like, yeehaw, everybody. Just got done with the rodeo. I can't believe that they're trying to have men in women's restrooms. We gonna get rid of that. And it's how the fuck do people buy this shit? This man is running for a congressional seat and he's pretending to have a Texas accent, and he's in rodeo clothes with a big fucking 10-gallon hat on. shooting his guns at the ground so fucking fervishly that he's levitating.
That's an expert move too.
Like, I do feel like there's a part in like maybe just American culture as a whole or whatever the fuck that it's just like, yeah, you can get away with it. Just keep doing it. Like, just double down. You might become the president one day. Who fucking knows?
Carp 2032. Calling it now.
I don't know.
Man.
we
need to have these like cool down moments on the show where it's just like,
yeah.
Oh boy.
Whatever. I agree with like probably about 75% of all of that.
Anyway, punishment time.
Yeah.
You mentioned the monkey's paw.
Well, I think he's already gotten the monkey's paw.
He's done that to himself.
Well, considering he's a milkshake duck, I think that he should if he drinks a milkshake, it should have shrimp tails in it. Anything he eats from now on has shrimp tails in it. Everything he drinks from now on, everything has milkshakes in it. Everything has milkshakes.
It's like the Midas touch, but for shrimp tails.
Yes, the Midas touch,
yes.
the shrimp tail touch.
That should be one of the things on here besides one of the fucking...
Oh, that's a good one. Okay, I'm taking notes. I'm writing that down. Midas touch. Fuck, that's brilliant. How come we've never done that before?
It only took us 206
episodes, and we finally got a new punishment. There you go, folks. Should we stick with the topic of Twitter? Because the unofficial mayor of Twitter, Chrissy Teigen, as a friend of the show Anime Serbia pointed out, nobody's ever referred to her as that. But the unofficial mayor... I thought
you were kidding. Somebody actually called her that?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
The unofficial mayor of Twitter.
Who's the official mayor?
Wait, hold on. Twitter.com/mayor. Accounts locked.
Well,
nobody.
Fuck.
Chrissy Teigen quit Twitter.
Cancel culture, man.
How are we feeling about this? I'll be honest, I don't know how to feel about it. I don't really care.
I don't know. I do feel, I mean, we've talked about her a few times on the show where it's like, yeah, she's kind of cringy, but I do kind of think that some of it got a little personal on a level that maybe you didn't need to go to.
Well, I was seeing people were bringing up the fact that, like, so she had, a miscarriage and stuff like that. Right. People were, like, responding to some of her tweets that are about nothing with just, like, pictures of aborted fetuses to be like, ha, 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 look at this. And it's one of those things like I was talking about last week with the, champ chief kid that like
exactly
it's
what
like
I was thinking of.
Maybe we should just be a little bit nicer to people sometimes. I mean, like, by all means criticize people when they're fucking wrong, and especially some of these millionaires and billionaires, like, they probably fucking deserve it. And like, maybe come back down to our level a little bit, but also like that's a person.
Yeah, it's like, it's embarrassing when she says that stuff about like, I just threw up my 30th pair of AirPods, and it's like, isn't that relatable, guys? It's like, no, not really.
Yeah.
I'm dying out here.
Healthcare, please.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah, there's a lot of like, I mean, there's more she could be doing. I suppose on some level.
More we all could be doing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, especially her, 'cause she has a fucking ton of money. So
right. Well, yeah.
But I mean, I don't know, Leslie, I'm sure you got some thoughts about her.
Well, I did appreciate that she did follow me, but I feel like ultimately, like, she could have been like a poster that people liked. She chose to like buck the system. She chose to post about buying the new AirPods, and when people got mad at it, instead of thinking, okay, maybe I should think more carefully about what I post, she doubled down and went with more of that stuff. And telling more of those little rich people anecdotes, and then chastising people. And actually said at one point, well, I not everything I post is going to be relatable to you because I'm rich.
Yeah.
So why don't you just unfollow me if you have a problem with it? I'm like, that is not the lane that any human being should ever try to be in, even the rich person. So that was very strange, especially since she and her husband promote themselves as being like all about, social justice and stuff, and down with Black Lives Matter and this and that. Why do they refuse to have any sort of class consciousness? Why does she follow people like me and so many other regular like socialists and leftists, but not like absorb any anything or like listen to anybody. Like, it's so strange because other rich people use Twitter, but they just don't end up in these situations. Like, nobody was really coming for her. People really genuinely just liked her a lot. She was like very well liked person, but she chose she chose a way to be online that people didn't like, that rubbed people the wrong way, and she knew it and then kept going, and then like got to this point where it's like, yeah, you won't have a good time if you're an ultra rich person posting ultra rich person thoughts and stuff with no real consideration for the global pandemic and the economic downturn that's happening. Like, you have to be thoughtful about this stuff. This is the same thing that happened with Gal Gadot with the Imagine video with all those celebrities who did that Imagine video where people like, actually, no, fuck you. Like, yes, that would have been fine a few years ago, but it's not now. You can either adapt or you can take your ball home and then you can take your ball home and go. And that's what Chrissy Teigen did. And I'm really disappointed in her because I respected her a little bit as a poster. And this isn't like some people got really nasty towards her about her miscarriage and stuff, but this whole arc was not, this was not something that she was out of control of. She had control over how this turned out, and it could have been really positive for her, but she chose to zig when everyone was telling her to zag, and now she was at the point where she basically did have to quit because she couldn't use the site like she wanted to, which, it was to her credit, she was able to use it like that for a while. She was able to be kind of a regular person on the website.
I was going to say, I remember that. I remember like her account was like somewhat entertaining at one point, and people seemed to like it.
Nobody
she
had
used
a
to post
problem
about
with
like
it.
Animal Crossing, and everybody's like, "Oh, she's just like me,"
Yeah, exactly.
And I know I think there was like one point in the last like few years where there was like I think the first time I ever really thought about it was like some big account that was like, or some like whatever post went around a lot. I was like, who the fuck is Chrissy Teigen? And I was like, that's a good question. And then I feel like after that is when all this other like weird, crazy shit started to happen with her, and she zagged or zigged or whatever the bad one was.
Yeah.
But she put a thing out here, or I guess like, what was her last post?
These were her last couple. She says, "Hey, over 10 years, you guys have been my world. I honestly owe so much to this world we created here. I truly considered so many of you my actual friends. It's a parasocial relationship, lady. Maybe you should back off a little bit. We're not your friends. You're not relatable, remember? But it's time for me to say goodbye. This no longer serves me as positively as it serves me negatively. And I think that's the right time to call something. My life goal is to make people happy. The pain I feel when I don't is too much for me. I've always been portrayed as the strong clapback girl, but I'm just not. My desire to be liked and fear of pissing people off has made me somebody you didn't sign up for, and a different human than I started out here as well. Live well, tweeters. Please know all I ever cared about was you." And there's a level to that is sort of like, I don't know. I get it, but her whole thing of my desire to be liked and fear of pissing people off is just like, but you can piss the right people off. And like Leslie was saying, like, use your platform a little more proactively and like actually listen to people, because like, I don't know, this growing divide between, like what you would consider the upper crust of society and just, the lower tomato sauce, I guess. I'm hungry. The difference between the two, like, the upper class and the lower class, is just becoming more and more apparent. And to like feed into that, and again, like, pushing for like some level of like progressive politics and stuff like that, like to do that at the same time, but not listen to, like people with their actual fucking concerns, and like to write it off. Like I can't exactly fully remember. I feel like she was one of the people that was sort of like writing off a lot of the quote Bernie bros.
Oh yeah, she definitely did.
Yeah. And it's like, I'd see some of those videos of like, the one guy that was at the Bernie rally the one time who was just like, I'm an Army vet. I'm suffering from a rare condition. I'm going to die. I might as well kill myself. Like, and like Bernie, like talk to him, console him, talk to him afterwards, et cetera, et cetera. But like a lot of that shit is just like, man, like this stuff, it's not just like fun and games and posting. It's like this stuff has serious consequences on people. And for you to like just write all that off, just like, oh, it's just this toxic, misogyny of the Bernie bro culture. It's like, yeah, and there's a lot of people that are dying that want healthcare.
Yes.
Like, you're writing them off. That's like, that feels bad. You don't listen to them. Like, you should engage with that. You should use your platform to, like, bolster some of those voices, maybe.
And again, that comes to, like, the central theme of the episode is there's no room for nuance.
Right.
At least in the general
You're just a Bernie bro.
sphere.
Like, okay, whatever, fine.
Well,
So
I'll say this because, even if you have righteous politics, you're going to get a lot of crap online. But I think there's a reason why someone like Susan Sarandon seems so unbothered, because she is so firm in her beliefs and her understandings and her positions that it doesn't really matter to have all these jackasses like talk shit about her.
Right.
And I think Chrissy Teigen, as she's making quite clear, like she does take this criticism to heart, but she doesn't really do anything with it other than feel sorry for herself. Like she knows people who are mad at her have a point, but she can't really she doesn't have it within her, I guess, to kind of try and change this or fix it. So it just makes her feel miserable. So yeah, I guess it is the right move for her to just get off.
I see some people in the chat here just repeating the phrase "healthcare, please," or posting the little wrinkled Wojak guy.
Yeah.
I think that's a good punishment. We all get Teigen care. We get Chrissy Teigen redistributes her wealth, and we all use it to get healthcare.
Hey, I'm for that. I think that was a punishment for Elon Musk. I think when I brought Elon Musk in as a 2 minutes of hate, is that we just we redistribute only his money.
It's like in River City Ransom when you beat up a bad guy and they just turn into a bunch of coins. Except when you make someone delete their Twitter account, it just turns into a bunch of scattered coins, and we all get to go to the doctor. Anyway, I got one last story I want to talk about before we wrap things up as well. The list went up on Twitter this week. Top 10 jobs that kids want. There was a survey of kids. Asked them what kind of jobs they want.
So I saw this like circulating around, like whatever day this was circulating around. I saw a number of different people posting it. I tossed it in the chat if anybody wants to look at it. I don't know what the source for this was.
Yeah, I guess
there's no like citation at the bottom of it or anything. It's just, unless it's cropped out or something, but it's just a list that anybody could have made.
Which, if it is cropped out, that's awfully suspicious.
Right.
But anyway, we'll talk about it purely for the fact that people are talking about it on Twitter this week, whether or not it has any water or merit to it. So the list goes, it's a top 10 list. Top number 1. I'll just start from the top. One is YouTuber, 34.2%. 2 is blogger/vlogger, 18.1%. Number 3, musician/singer, 16%. Number 4, actor, 15%. Number 5, filmmaker, 13%. 6, doctor or nurse. 13.
Doctor spelled DOCTUR.
Which again, where the fuck is this from?
I don't know, but it was circulating like fucking wild, and I think the discourse around it's more interesting than the actual.
Number
fucking
7
list.
is TV presenter. I don't know what that
Dick
is.
Clark. That's the only person I can think of.
Kids love Dick Clark's legacy. 8, athlete or teacher is a tie. Number 9 is writer, and number 10 is lawyer.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
What do you think about this list, Leslie? Is it buggy that there's not podcast around here?
I think nothing on this list. This is one trend I saw that I was just like, I don't care about that at all. That's like a nightly news nugget, which should have a 5-minute shelf life, but because it's on being distributed online, it has like a 3-day shelf life plus.
Yeah.
And the most I saw this like reposted and quote retweeted or whatever on Twitter a lot this past week, and everybody's responses are for the most part were like, oh, so depressing. Oh, kids these days. And
first
it's like,
of all,
how the hell is this any different than it's been for like back in the fucking 70s? Like, number one was probably Rockstar or some
Athlete,
shit, you know?
Rockstar.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that different. It just they have YouTube on here because YouTube didn't exist back then. And if it did, I'm sure it would have been quite popular.
Right. First of all, the two things I can sort of pull out of this is one, the people that were complaining about this the most were all like professional YouTubers. That was the number one source I saw for all of this stuff. Is just like, man, kids these days sure are dumb. And it's like, you do that job. You have 500,000 subscribers on your YouTube channel. You make ad money and sell ads and have a Patreon. That's your job. You don't want anybody else to have this. Like,
is that what it is? Like, they just don't want the market to be flooded? Like, it can only be me.
Yeah, there can only be one. And the second thing that I've seen is people, like, there were a bunch of people that were sort of trying to, like, you know, pick me this, which they were like, nobody, how come kids nowadays, like, this is why we're losing to China. No kid nowadays wants to become, like, a molecular bioengineer. And, like, the first response I saw under that was, like, kids don't know what that is.
What? No coal miner?
Kids don't know what they don't know what a bioengineer is. Like,
that's the problem,
not a
Grant.
thing that's just thrown around. Like, that's a thing that you learn in like high school or college where you're like, oh, I could maybe possibly do this. Like, this sort of interests me. I'm good at, like, you know, I'm good at biology. I'm good at chemistry. Maybe I could do some sort of job and I'll work for Pfizer or whatever the fuck. Like,
and even like they could be watching and following YouTube accounts that talk about that stuff, and it gets them interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Kids say the darndest things, don't they?
Yeah, they do.
Anyway, I don't know if this is a real list or not. I don't even care.
I mean,
I whatever.
Lists like this have existed and they will continue to exist. And it doesn't. Like, how many kids are like, I want to grow up and be a dinosaur? Like, it doesn't. Kids are stupid. Just leave them alone. Yeah. I would have picked that.
See, that would have been depressing. Number one, dinosaur. Oh, it's generation.
I mean, when I was growing up, I think when I was like 4, I wanted to be a Power Ranger. When I was 5, I wanted to be a firefighter because I realized that was a job. When I was like 7, I was like, I want to be a writer, and I'd write like little short stories. It's just like, yeah. And then I was in high school and I was like, I could make money playing music. And now I'm making money doing a podcast. It doesn't matter. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Who cares? The money is fake. Nothing matters.
And yeah, I
don't have anything.
You mentioned people were just going on about, like, you know, using the China boogeyman as it's like, I don't know. Just let the kids be happy. That's my punishment. Just let the kids be happy, whatever. Like, oh yeah, you're going to get rich and famous. You got your YouTube channel talking about toys and stuff. Go ahead. You know,
you
maybe
can do that and also have a job.
Yeah,
I do.
I do too. I do have a YouTube toy channel. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, excuse me. Let's move along to Key to the City, which is something nice, something positive, something swell that we saw this past week or whenever the hell. Excuse me. My Key to the City this week goes to Scott the Woz on YouTube. Are you familiar with this guy, Leslie? Scott the Woz?
No, I don't think so.
He's a younger guy. I think he's like 22 or 23. He does these like video essays on like video games on YouTube. And I know there's like a million of those and they're a dime a dozen. But I've been watching this guy for like about a year now. I just kind of stumbled on his channel, and it's one of those things where it's like, it's one of the rare things that's gotten me like excited during the quarantine when it's like, ooh, there's a new Scott video. And it's always like just watching him grow in the past year, like his production like value, like his humor, his timing, his pacing, like he's gotten so good at what he does. He's just one of those guys who like, he knows himself really well. He's very humble, and he just does the damn job, you know? And it's like, you see someone like that and he's like, yeah, he's like only 22, 23 years old. He's got a bright future ahead of him. And he's just been putting out some really impressive videos. And it's always about like kind of like niche topics that are interesting to him. And then whoever else is, stumbles onto it or might find it interesting too. So he gets my Key to the City this week.
Cool.
Leslie, you see anything cool recently? Want to give a key to the city too?
Yes, something very cool. This is a key to the city to Diana Prince, a.k.a. Darcy the Mail Girl, actress, adult actress, and horror vixen. You see her currently on Shudder TV, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob. And she just started a Patreon because Joe Bob Briggs, who've you seen on TNT, late night movies for decades and decades, he gave her all his old videotapes. He has archived basically everything he's done, and she's basically going through the archives and uploading everything. So it's like real kind of interesting stuff, little clips. There's like a uncensored version of like a clip from Chucky when he did like a promotional appearance on Monster Vision late night. There's all these little interviews with these horror greats and horror actors. It's just a really fun stuff that she's doing, and really pretty decent quality for VHS. So she has a Patreon. So I think her handle on Twitter is kinky_horror, and she has a Patreon page. That's patreon.com/Darcy the Mail Girl. And you can find that out where she's restoring all this lost footage from Joe Bob Briggs.
Yeah, we're looking at that now. It's pretty cool.
That sounds awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's like a little, nice little showcase.
Little time capsule.
Yeah. That's awesome.
My key to the city this week goes to, I couldn't think of one, so off the top of my head, I've been following this guy on Instagram and now on TikTok, and we've been talking about it in the hashtag lifts channel in the Discord, but knees over toes guy. Apparently, if you have any sort of knee pain of any sort, he has a bunch of like sort of interesting videos that I've been sort of taking apart and trying to learn from, with certain like exercises and shit like that. And like he does more than just that, but I guess that's his main sort of shtick. And because I'm interested in, the lifting stuff and whatnot, check his channel out. Just type in knees over toes guy. You'll find it right away. He's the only guy with that name.
It's good for all those who are working out at home, need a little bit of extra guidance. There's a content for that. There's an app for that. And
he does have like a lot of body weight stuff that you can do at home too. And like it's interesting because he's doing stuff that I don't see a lot of people do, at least in the way. Like he'll utilize certain exercises, but in different ways that I've seen people utilize them before. And I feel like anytime I see that, it's like, oh, there's maybe something a little more to that than I can learn from, So check him out. I think his name's Ben Patrick, knees over toes guy. He could also be full of shit too, but there's a couple things that I've seen in there that seem at least legitimate and utilizable. And, like Bruce Lee said, take what's useful and just throw the rest out. If it's useless, get rid of it. You don't need it.
Moving on to our Thought Cops word of the week. This week's word of the week is lowbie. Typically, it's used for a low-level character in an MMORPG, but more commonly these days used to describe somebody with a low level of followers on Twitter.
Damn, that's me.
That's me.
I want to become the main character.
Yeah. Hey, we got to start as a lowbie somewhere. Anyway, before we get to our final segment of the show, which is our listener voicemails, Leslie, if you could plug everything you got, man.
Just check me out on Struggle Session, patreon.com/Struggle Session, or sesh.plus, sesh.plus.
Awesome. And you said your Twitter handle and everything?
Oh, that's not important. Just check out the show.
Okay. You'll find it, folks. If you need to, you'll find it. The truth is out there. Let's give a quick thank you to our patrons this week. If you want to support the show, go ahead and head over to patreon.com/thoughtcops. Get all the extra bonus content I mentioned earlier and more. You can hang out in the live chat and send us articles about the shrimp tail guy that we might have missed. Let's give a quick thank you to our new patrons this week, Starlit Alpha and Dr. Peppercorn. Thank you. Anyway, if you want to support the show, like I said, give us a few bucks over there. And if you want to leave your own voicemail, give us a call, 312-788-7361. Or you can always send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. Hit it.
This is the Discord news for this week, bringing you all the news worth reporting from the virtual streets of Neo-Chicago.
In hashtag The Food Network, Kevin dropped a tweet about new sauce matchups coming out from a brand soon, sparking an argument about sauces, proving there's nothing we won't argue about.
In hashtag Lifts, an argument led to everyone calling everyone else gay.
Everyone was making like graphs and charts and stuff with it too. It was interesting.
In hashtag Outrage, there was a very long discussion about... I don't even know.
In hashtag Key to the City, Starlet Alpha complained about a guy not locking the stall while taking a shit, which started a discussion about the merits of closed versus open door pooping in public restrooms.
Sneed posting in hashtag Looney devolved into Yu-Gi-Oh talk as everyone took a heavy dose of nostalgia.
In the hashtag Normie Safe Space, 688 Attack Sub has been posting his dog. Very good.
A scandal rocked the sports world last week as the Boston Crabs fans invaded other teams to steal their best players, and league organizers allowed it. After the Canada Moist Talkers took the championship in season 14, the league is going on a 2-week siesta, but we will continue to report on this when it starts back up.
Don't.
No, you won't.
Shout out to our newest Discord member, June Bat. Thanks for joining.
This week's Discord news has been presented to you by
stealing bits
Spicy
from the
Joseph
show.
and I.O. Blaze Runner.
I don't know why that's so funny of him just like singling out new people.
Because we just started doing that.
Because of the Patreon thing?
Yeah. They're
that's what he's doing.
us.
Okay.
They're learning and then replicating, and then soon they're going to be doing the show before we do it.
I'm flattered. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Hey, Thought Plops. It's Brandon Kirkman. I saw you guys were having Leslie on. Big Struggle Session fan here. I instantly had this idea for this question because I was thinking about Aaron Klopper's episode where you guys read the Avengers at the storming of the Capitol, which was very funny to me. So I want to ask you all specifically, Leslie, too. What Avenger or Marvel MCU character would definitely be storming the Capitol? Like, just to make this a little bit harder, you have to avoid mentioning Star-Lord as acted by Chris Pratt, because that's an obvious choice. So that's off the table. I need you to pick someone else other than the obvious choice, which is Chris Pratt, who probably was storming the Capitol. Anyways, you all have a good time.
There she blows.
He does this every single voicemail.
Oh, well, thank you so much for that shout out for Struggle Session. It's a fairly easy question. I mean, I thought that he was going to say you couldn't say the Punisher, because that seems like the obvious example to me. That just jumps right out at me. Like if I'm thinking of anybody who's going to be like a guy who would end up in one of the groups that storm the Capitol, it would be Punisher.
I would like to think best case scenario, Punisher would go there and be like, take my fucking logo off your trucks. Or maybe you could. I know you're more of a DC guy, aren't you, Leslie?
Yes, I am more of a DC guy. And in that case,
who from the Snyder Cut, who would be there?
Oh, from the Snyder Cut, who would be there? Kind of a difficult one, I think, because none of them really definitely not Cyborg, obviously. Even Batman seems to be kind of move. He wants to be more liberal. Maybe Snyder's Batman started out as he's probably played a lot of golf with Trump, but since he's met Superman, he's kind of gotten better. Oh, I think probably Commissioner Gordon. Probably he seems pretty uptight. He seems like a fairly uptight and conservative Gordon. And Gordon is generally a fairly conservative character.
And he's a cop, so
yeah.
we know how many of those were there.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was thinking of someone shared an image on Twitter that I saw, which I guess it's from the Batman animated series. I never remembered it being this racy, but I think it was a Frank Miller drawing, and it was like this. I don't know the name of the character, but it was a woman who had breasts and her nipples were covered up by swastikas.
Oh yeah, I saw that screenshot too.
Yeah, I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's from The Dark Knight Returns. That's the Joker's his last girlfriend before he ends up going in prison. I think her name's Bruno. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's Bruno, a character invented by Grant Morris, by Frank Miller for that story. Pretty messed up character. Not a pro-Nazi character, by the way. She just is a Nazi and a villain. Just to clarify that.
Well, I mean, my answer would be
Joker
her,
canceled for dating Nazi.
Oh no, we did
10 years ago.
Canceled Joker. I can't
Well,
believe
if
it.
anything, like I feel like a lot of like new Joker fans might be upset, might be a little bit hurt about this, because it's one thing to be like a sadistic, sex murderer, but it's another thing to be a racist too.
Great news, fellas. Chrissy Teigen is fucking dead.
Jesus Christ!
In Minecraft, thank you. That's, I think, the shortest voicemail she's ever left.
I think so. I'm shocked. I'm speechless.
Day 43. Everything I open in my pantry, everything I get from the store, every time I open it up, it's nothing but fucking shrimp tail. I tried drinking a bottle of water. It was a clear bottle of water. Opening it up, fucking shrimp tail.
I almost did a spit take.
I guess the Midas touch really worked.
Yeah.
That was quick turnaround.
God, yeah. It's like people were like, yeah, they're going to talk about this for sure.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you learn who the main characters for each week are pretty quickly if you spend enough time on Twitter.
All right, what's going on, guys? I hope you're all doing well. My 2 minutes of hate this week is racing game developers, because for some reason they all think it's a good idea to ruin their games by like making by making the other drivers in the same car as you faster than you for no apparent reason, or making it so that the other drivers don't follow the same in-game laws of physics. And it ruins the games, and I hate it because I love video games and they make it very hard for me to love them. God damn it. So my punishment for these people, for these developers, is they get to sit in a race car with a professional driver, but the professional driver is remote controlling the vehicle and crashes it into a concrete wall.
All right.
All right, then.
I mean, that is sort of a aggravating aspect of game design where it's like, same car, same modifications, same everything. Why is he faster than me? I don't get it.
I remember people would complain about that with Mario Kart 64, the rubber band effect. When you'd be like, the computers they would not, like, you could never like lap them, and they could never go like too far behind you, so they would speed them up and stuff.
Right, but you could get completely fucked over, and it just wouldn't matter.
Yeah, the one-sided rubber banding always sucks. Yeah.
Hey man, real gamers, if they're good enough, doesn't matter if there's a rubber band. You just go fast,
like Sonic.
Hey, Thought Cops, Lars the Knee Fantano here. My 2 minutes of hate goes out to steak Nazis. And just to preface this, I don't like well-done steak. I think it doesn't taste as good. And if I'm going to spend double digits to get a steak,
it's confusing these days.
I'm obviously going to Italian myself. But the level at which I care about what anyone else does in this regard is at like -8,000. And I think it's weird when people invest any emotional energy into this, like, at all.
Yeah.
You always get these guys when you hear someone order a well-done steak and they start dancing around like Tweety Bird screaming, "Oh, I can't believe you've done this! You've wasted a perfectly good steak!" And
Not
it's like,
necessarily true.
It's dinner. It's not actually a big deal. Like, you see this a lot with pizza too, I think. Someone whose name is probably like Dave or something.
Right.
And they manage a Home Depot. And they're just like these snobs about how
you're being a snob about people's
Chicago-style pizza and immediately have like a rage orgasm. Like, sir, that is not a pizza. I've never heard of this. I can't believe you would advertise this. Like, just calm down.
Wait, do they serve steak at Italian restaurants? That was all I could think about the whole time. Like, I appreciate the production value, but it was
good.
like...
Maybe it was French music?
I don't think so. And even then...
It sounded... Well, I don't actually know the difference between the two.
I couldn't even like pay attention to what was happening.
I mean, I get it with the pizza snobs thing, especially living in Chicago. I mean, we're shit on a lot about the deep dish thing, and it's like most of us like don't care, man.
Remember, once a year there's that fucking article that goes viral where it's like, actually, real Chicago pizza is not deep dish, it's tavern style. What the fuck is tavern style? I don't know. Look it up.
Well, the one thing I do know about like well done steaks is that they do use cheaper cuts because they're just like, just whatever. We're cooking the fuck out of it. Just give them like the worst part of the steak. Like,
yeah, we don't want you to taste this.
Yeah, but yeah, other than that, I don't know. I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like it's kind of a more of a you problem if you're getting mad because they are objectively right? Like people are objectively. I think people are fairly objectively right about the steak thing. If you, for some reason, I've known people who like I just can't eat red or whatever, and that's fine. Like I don't know how many people are really truly like judging you and care, but I think you probably know that you're kind of missing out on what the steak is supposed to be, because it's not like people are trying to gaslight you, like people aren't lying about this, you don't it's better, but for some reason you don't really like it, or it doesn't really feel good to you, like you don't worry about it. Like for example, like I can't stand, for me, like cucumbers, I can't stand cucumbers, and people are like, what are you talking about? Cucumbers don't even have a taste, but to me they do, and I know
they do.
Secure in this because to me they just have a very strong taste. I can't eat anything that has touched a cucumber, but like I'm not worried about like the big cucumber like coming after me because people love cucumbers. Like it's kind of
you ever
fine.
seen those
like I understand they
like
do
cat
like
videos.
Oh, with the cat video.
You put like a cucumber in front of a cat and they like freak out and run away. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
you might have the same gene.
I have like for real. Like it really just like is so incredibly like off-putting to me. Like I would rather you like pour like rubbing alcohol on like my salad than like a cucumber. That's like how strong it is to me. But I understand that for most people don't have that reaction, and like that's fine.
I have that reaction, but further along in the cucumber's life, I can't get down with pickles.
Really?
I've tried. I hate them.
I feel the same way about pickles too. I don't hate them as much. I can eat something that has touched a pickle at the very least, but I don't like pickles at all either.
Yeah, I can do cucumbers all day, any day, but I can't do pickles.
What do you do when you order a Chicago-style hot dog, right?
I mean, I eat it, but like I'm not happy about it.
You don't want to be seen taking it off?
Yeah, like I'll eat it. I'll eat anything. I don't care. Whatever. It's all just funnel it in my mouth. I don't give a shit. But like, yeah, I'm not a fan of the pickle. I'm not.
To the next one.
All right, we'll do this last one.
I like how he just like that's how the steak voicemail just ended up. He's like, not a fan of pickles.
All right.
Good evening to you all, Thought Cops. It is I, Leo the Incredible.
Oh, we know. The voice gives it away.
Here again, gracing your voicemail. You're welcome.
Thank you.
That being said, I will indeed keep this one pithy, short and to the point, and very directed. It seems though I have a favorite among you Thought Cops. Good evening, Grant.
Hello.
You know what it is that I should be calling in for? We spent the evening discussing this particular individual. I believe his name was General Guy.
Oh my
Grant,
God.
I want the Tank Man dead. As I stated on your Twitch stream, the Tank Man insults me. He is the bane of your existence. There are so many things the Tank Man must be destroyed for.
Jesus.
Gentlemen, I will settle for nothing less than Tank Man's head on a pike by the end of the next Twitch stream. I believe in you, Grant. Kevin, keep up the excellent work as always.
You got
Gentlemen,
it, man.
Hey, what the
on
hell,
to the
man?
next caller. Thank you for taking mine, and have a wonderful Thursday evening.
All right, so for context, during the Twitch streams, I've been playing Paper Mario, and I got to the Shy Guy Toy Box level, and Leo's in the chat, and he's like, "So who's the boss for this level?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's a little Shy Guy, but he's inside of a tank." And he just immediately got infuriated about the idea that there's a little general man that's a Shy Guy that lives in a tank. He couldn't stop. He's like obsessed with. It's the telltale Shy Guy.
As if in that game, like, that's the one thing that's, like, too, like, weird.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, thanks for calling. If you want to give us a call, leave us a voicemail of your own. It's 312-788-7361, or send us an audio file to thoughtcopspodcast@gmail.com. Leslie, thanks so much for coming back on the show.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I had a great time.
Yeah, appreciate you calling in.
And thank you to everybody who listened and to those who donate. Again, hit us up over at patreon.com/thoughtcops for all kinds of good bonus content. We'll see you next time.
See you, Space Cop.